Hi guys, welcome to a new video. Today we're just going to look at a couple of my little ficus starts. A little bit different age here. I'll just kind of show you the progression. But when I start some ficus trees, what I'll do is take a cutting off of one of my larger trees, and you can kind of see the development. I've got a couple others here that I'll show as well. But as you can see, this branch is pretty thin. But I think when I originally potted that, it probably wasn't much thicker than this one here, this branch. So it's thickened up, and I can already see the wires biting in. Because when I initially wire these, I put the wire on kind of loose, just because with the right conditions, ficus trees can really grow and thicken up pretty quick. Like this one here, I've already taken the wire off, but you can see the trunk is probably 2 or 3 times as thick as the one over there. And it's already, I mean, it's got the shape to it, so I don't need to wire the trunk anymore. Because I just like adding a little movement to my ficus trees, and even some of my portulacarias too. I like the movement, and it's just kind of experimenting to kind of see what kind of shape you can get. Here's another one here that also have a bend in. And as these mature, you know, the bend doesn't tend to look as extreme because the trunk will thicken up. But this one here looks like the wire's biting in too, so I'll go ahead and take the wire off of that one. And I think I have one more. But here's another one kind of early on that I didn't wire, but it's got a little bit of movement in it, which is what I like. I don't like the super formal upright trees. I like a little movement. Maybe not all of them as extreme as this one over here, but I do like to add. These are free trees pretty much for me, because I'll prune. Like, I'm thinking I'll probably I took a look at this tree ahead of time before I started the video, and I'll probably end up removing some of these branches. And that's kind of how they start. You know, you just cut that off, stick it in some soil, and let it root. And in 6 months, you can have, you know, something decent size like this. But if it's growing in the summertime, I mean, you could have something that thick pretty quick. So just depends on the conditions. Here right now, it's in middle of January. So, and I'm in Texas. We've got some cool days. You know, it's around mid 30s or something like that during the day here this week. But then, you know, it's Texas, so a few days after that, we'll be back in the 50s and 60s during the day. So we're in the wintertime roller coaster. But anyway, I just thought I'd kind of show you different stages of how I start new ficus trees and do a little maintenance on them. I've got some wire to remove, a little bit of pruning, maybe add some new wire. So let's just go ahead and get started here. I think I'll start with this guy. Like I said, I can see the wire starting to bite in, so I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And these ficus are different than portulacaria because they're a little more flexible, so I tend to try to unwind the wire, especially if it's a decent long piece of wire that I could reuse. I'll tend to unwind them more on ficus than I do portulacaria, because portulacarias are not quite as flexible and forgiving. I don't want to risk damaging the tree, you know, breaking off a branch or snapping the trunk or something like that, because when they're young like this, I can probably remove these rocks. Like I said, those were in there. This is my kind of a grow. It's what I call my grow bonsai mix, is where I put a lot of cuttings and stuff in. It's a lot of perlite, some cocoa core, and some turfus. That's all it is. It's free draining, but it holds enough moisture with the cocoa core in there, that the newly rooted or newly planted, you know, cuttings. But like I said, these were just fresh cuttings right off the tree and stuck in the soil, and they rooted and took off from there. So, and then once they get a good set of roots on them, I'll put them in my other bonsai soil mix, which is what I'm using now. Is mostly expanded shale, calcined clay or turfus, and a little bit of organic material, bark of some sort. So yeah, you can see the wire was biting in, because when I took the wire off, it actually exposed some of the, I've got a little bit of sap coming off. But yeah, that's, you know, like I said, I just like adding a little movement. This tree can become any number of things, but I think that's all I'm going to do for that one today. Just take these weeds out of here. Looks like I got a few weeds growing. Got a few roots coming out of the bottom. So it's a healthy tree, and it's really rooted in there. So, I mean, I could even probably up pot that into a bigger pot to let it grow really fast, but that'll be for a later day. So we'll set this one aside. And this one here hasn't quite thickened up as much, but the wire is also biting in, so we'll go ahead and get that off of there and let it breathe some. Heard something crack. I might have just broke one of those little branches. That's fine. It'll grow back. Getting a little impatient here. I just gotta go slower. Yeah, when I initially wire some of these trees, sometimes it's a little more aggressive than others, and have no idea how it's going to end up. I mean, what new branches you might get on it, and you know, and some of them may end up being trunk chops after they thicken up quite a bit. You could, you know, cut it down low once it gets a nice base on it. So like I said, I just throw wire on there to get movement in it, and then just kind of see what the tree gives me in the future, and then go from there. So yeah, and who knows, this one may turn into a cascade in the future. And then the good thing with the ficus, if you do something drastic like that, or whether it's a trunk chop or something else, you just reroot the top of it or whatever you cut off, and you're off and running on another tree. So these are almost as nice as portulacarias, but what I don't like about ficus is that in the wintertime, they tend to, in my conditions anyway, my indoor conditions, they kind of slow down a little bit, and they don't grow as fast, so I don't do as much work on them through the winter like I do with the portulacarias. And this particular type of ficus, the leaves are bigger, so you got to let the tree get pretty good size to get, you know, any decent shape and ramification to it. But I still really enjoy working with ficus, because they're almost as easy as portulacarias, but I find them, they can be a little more finicky with temperature and things, but still almost a bulletproof plant if you can give it the right conditions. And this one has got quite a few roots coming out of the bottom, so it probably definitely needs an up pot, but I think I'll wait on that. Just kind of looking at the form of this one. I like the curve, and I like this for the first branch. Probably don't need this branch over here. Maybe a little soon to do pruning if I want to let it thicken up, but I think I want to go ahead and add some shape to this branch before it gets too thick. I'll go ahead and prune this off just so it doesn't start, since it's a bar branch, to the other side, so it doesn't develop inverse taper and a bulge there, so I'll just go ahead and get rid of that. I think I can work with this one. It would be better if it was up a little higher, or I could pull this one over for a side branch. I think I'll stay with that one. This one here is kind of in the way because it's kind of on the inside of that curve. So I can use this as the new top. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take that off. And that's kind of what my cuttings look like. Some of them are a little longer, but you stick that right in the soil, and I'm not sure if it'll root as well in the wintertime like I am now, because my indoor house temperature is only, 70, low 70s, and these things really like the heat. So outside in the summertime when it's 80 plus, they root really quick. Let's see. Yeah, so I think I might bend that over and then back up just to continue that curve. I'm trying to decide what I'm doing with it, just because I'm going to bend this one down, and I may use the same piece of wire and just run on up the trunk, and we'll see if this is going to be thick enough. It's definitely thick enough for that. Yeah, I'll probably be able to make it work. We'll see. Actually, this wire that I just took off of the other tree may work better. It's a little thicker. Yeah, so I think we'll use this one. So what I'm going to do is start here. Just get me a bend or two here. I think I gave myself enough for the top, so let's kind of move that up a little bit more. Okay, that's good there to anchor it. We'll bring this around. Get some movement added to this. And when I have a kind of a curvy trunk like this, I like to mimic that same motion in the side branches when I can. So something like that, and maybe even back down. Just to add a little movement in it. And then looks like I got some leaves smashed in here, so I have to move those out of the way. Go ahead and wrap this on up this upper trunk. Again, you don't have to wire your trees. I just like movement. Some people do like the strict formal uprights, which is fine. I just don't care for that as much as ones with movement in it. As long as the movement kind of makes sense, and what makes sense to me may not make sense to somebody else, but that's fine too. So I think a couple back branch options here. Get this one down low. It's on a different plane, so it would work. This one would also work, but they're still pretty green, so I don't think I'm going to wire these yet today. This one here could come off to the side too. I think I am going to just shorten it for now, just so it doesn't thicken up too much, just so I can, but then it's almost like a ladder branch to that one below it. And the one below it's just kind of in between those curves, but I mean, I could probably get rid of this one because it's got one right above it that's a little better for the taper. So I think I will just go ahead and get rid of this one so it's not competing. And I can probably bring this back up here. One thing you got to watch though, because I tend to do this a lot because I'm undecided on my bend, and then I keep bending it back and forth, and then you damage the outer layer of the trunk, and it it slows down the feeding of the branch, and it could die off. So try not to bend it, rebend it, because you'll damage the trunk. I know from experience I've killed off a few branches because I can't decide on how I want to bend it, but anyway, yeah, so I think this is it's a good start anyway. Go ahead and wrap this on around if I want to add some additional movement later as it grows. Maybe coming back on itself or something. Yeah, we'll see. I think that's a good start anyway. At least for a starter tree that didn't cost anything. Here's another one that since it's got a little bit of movement in the trunk, I don't think I'm going to wire that one. I'm just going to let that one continue to grow and kind of see where it goes. So I think that's just about all of them. Yeah, it's got this one here. So yeah, I think that's just about it. I've kind of went through all 4 of them that I had that I wanted to work on today, but hope you enjoyed it. At least something a little different. And yeah, so that's how I start new trees. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.